Thanks for staying with us, everyone. I know it's a very long all-sports report this week. Had to get that baseball preview out there. Again, thanks for staying with us, and I promise to get you out quickly here with the My Take portion of our program. I want to talk about NCAA basketball this week. Of course, it's the focus of all sports across all levels. Whether you're a professional, you're talking about it. Whether you're obviously in the college ranks, you're talking about it. And of course, a lot of high school broadcasters love to watch these teams and gloat and be so proud of the kids that they have covered growing up. Watching these kids mature into college basketball participants, NCAA tournament participants. I get that feeling when I watch Georgia and Georgia State this week. A lot of kids on both of those programs that I covered as they were coming up through the high school ranks here in the state of Georgia. As a matter of fact, Georgia State has 9 kids on their roster who were Georgia natives, played their high school ball here in the state of Georgia. Meanwhile, the University of Georgia, 7 young men who played their high school basketball here in the state of Georgia. Now, the reason I bring that up is because, a lot of people talked about the fact that Texas had 5 universities that were in the NCAA tournament. Big or small state, that's a pretty good number. And we've talked about many times in the media, how come the state of Georgia doesn't get more of their programs into the NCAA tournament? Georgia usually, on average, is good for one of their major programs getting into the NCAA tournament. Now, obviously, some years we don't have any. Many years we'll get 1, and every once in a while we'll get 2, and it's a blue moon when we'll get 3 programs into the NCAA tournament. In fact, I think the last time, one of only a handful of times we've ever had 3 programs was way back in 2001, if memory serves. I wonder, however, and this is the focus of this week's My Take portion of the program, I wonder if we're on the verge of a Georgia University basketball renaissance, a resurgence, if you will. Because as I mentioned, we've always wondered why we've not had more teams in the NCAA tournament. And I've always contended part of that was because, for whatever reason, Georgia basketball college programs couldn't close the gate. They couldn't keep these fine basketball products, these young men that are graduating high school here in the state of Georgia, couldn't keep those young men in the state of Georgia, whether it be at the top level, the second-tier players, or even in the third-tier players, giving those third-team players and second-team players an opportunity to emerge. That got me curious. As I saw Georgia State a couple of weeks ago, I started thinking, man, I know this guy and that guy and that guy. How many kids do they have on their roster that I covered? How many kids are from the state of Georgia? So here's the numbers. Remembering, of course, that the state of Georgia is one of the most talent-rich states for high school talent transferring to the college level and being productive. And then, of course, we'll have guys that move on to the NBA as well. So it's so important for guys, college programs, I should say, to corral these kids and try to keep them in the state. We talk about that a lot with college football recruiting. So again, here's the numbers of Georgia natives that are playing for the 7 college basketball programs that have the opportunity to play in the big dance. 9 for Georgia State, who of course was in the NCAA tournament. 7 for the University of Georgia. Good number. How about 12 for Georgia Tech? 12 has, excuse me, I'm so shocked I can't even say it right. Georgia Tech has 12 young men on their roster that are Georgia natives. I'll let you draw conclusions in the coaching. Kennesaw State 5, Mercer 5, 12 for Georgia Southern, and then 10 for Savannah State out of the MEAC. The MEAC has an automatic qualifier by winning their tournament. Hampton won that tournament. That's the conference that Hampton's in. Of course, they came out of, I think, 5th or 6th place in the regular season, won that tournament, and went to the big dance. So 9, 7, 12, 5, 5, 12, and 10. Now, let's remember, again, Georgia State with their 9 made the tournament. Georgia with their 7 made the tournament. Mercer with their 5, that's actually down a little bit. And, of course, we know what they've done in the tournament recently, the Mercer Bears. That 5, remembering that they lost some guys off of that team, is actually down. Georgia Southern and their 12, a lot of people forget, a lot of people didn't realize that in the Sun Belt Championship, who did Georgia State beat to qualify for the big dance? Well, they beat Georgia Southern. They beat Georgia Southern. The only teams to really struggle this year with a plethora of Georgia products was obviously Savannah State, who finished with only 9 wins in 31 games this year. And of course, Georgia Tech, and there's been a lot of talk about that in the metro Atlanta area, and Kennesaw State. But remember something. Before this year, people were very, very high on the resurgence of Georgia Tech's program. Kennesaw State this year won more Division I basketball games than they've won in quite some time. In fact, they won more games this year, I think, than the last 2 years combined. So I'm starting to wonder, are we starting to see a resurgence in Georgia's college basketball rank? Is there an opportunity where we could have 4 or potentially even 5 teams qualify for the big dance? The key, in my opinion, as of right now in this part of history, is to really corral the fine Georgia high school prospects that we see graduating from high school here in the state of Georgia, keeping those kids in the state. These numbers that I've got on my screen here in front of me, very, very good. That leads me to believe that we could be on the verge of some big-time history here in the state of Georgia as we move forward, anyway, into the big dance each year. Until next week, I'm Chris Mooneyham. Thanks for joining us for this week's Touchdown Club of Atlanta All Sports Report.